What is up, everybody? I am Kevin Iole. Thank you for joining me. My great privilege now to have one of the greatest fighters who ever lived, one of the greatest fighters I ever saw. I have to tell this story before I introduce him because I was 5 years old and I saw Sugar Ray Robinson's final fight. So I saw the best there ever was, but the man I have with me right now is not far away from that. Of course, that's the great Roy Jones Jr. How are you, Roy?
I'm good, Kevin. Thank you, my brother. Thank you for the compliments.
You are unbelievable, one of the best talents ever. And I was just saying before we started recording, you do things a little different than everybody else. So there is a small pay-per-view, globalsportstreaming.com, tomorrow in Washington, tomorrow being Thursday, $9.99 for the pay-per-view, so certainly very affordable. You are training fighters on this card. So what is Roy Jones doing? He is going to commentate on all the fights where he is not training his fighters. And the two fights where he is training his fighters, you can have an earpiece and microphone in and talk to Claudia Trejos, the play-by-play announcer, during the fight. Is that right, Roy?
Very true. This is our second time.
So how does that work? How can you concentrate on the fight and also say announcing what's going on?
I was pound for pound the best for a reason because I can do two things at once. I can multitask. So now, as a boxing coach, I still have to multitask. So I got to think for my fighter, talk for my fighter, but speak to the audience about what's going on in the actual fight. So it's two separate things.
Right. Are we going to be able to hear, like, when you're in the corner and you're giving the advice, is that going to go out over the broadcast? And so we'll hear exactly the whole time what you're saying?
I'm not going to tell y'all that y'all can't, but I'm not sure if they mute me during between rounds. I hope they do. But if they don't, it's okay because sometimes I have to get a little bit aggressive to tell these guys what's really happening. But
right.
Good thing is about this time, even especially with the Mandeep fight, I'll let Asa talk to him more because Asa also has been working with us to train him. So I'll try not to say as much to him as I do to the broadcast. But for the other ones, I'll probably be speaking to them more. Well, the one guy, Roundtree, I'll be speaking to Roundtree more because I'm his main trainer. So, but the rest of them, I'll try to keep it as basic as I can and make sure I keep the audience involved.
You have been training fighters for a while now. How has that transition been from being an active fighter to being a full-time trainer and having a full stable of fighters and putting on shows yourself? Is that something like that's cure the itch for you wanting to fight yourself?
Yeah, for me, it's like different because it's like you have to approach each person, each boxer, kind of like you approach your opponents. You got to find out what their weaknesses and what their strengths are. Only difference is you don't punish them for their weaknesses. You try to strengthen their weaknesses. Where when I was fighting, I punished you with your weaknesses. You feel me? So now I try to take those weaknesses and try to make them strong points. And take the strong points and make them even stronger. So my job is to not make people fight like me, but to take what they have, take what God gave them, and figure out how do we utilize that to optimize their opportunities as they come in the boxing ring.
One of the things that you hear about athletes like yourself who are not only just supremely gifted more than anybody else is that sometimes those kind of athletes tell people to do things that they could do but nobody else could do, right? How do you understand the fact that not everybody is Roy Jones Jr. and not everybody has the kind of physical tools and skills that you have?
Because my first concept when a person comes to my gym or if I go to train them, my first thing I look at is what's your DNA? What did God give you? God didn't take everybody Roy Jones, or it would be a bunch of Roy Jones. God didn't make that. So I got to go and see what God gave you first. I got to make you understand that as well because I'm not God. I kind of work with what God gives me.
Right.
God give me a racehorse, I got to put him in a Kentucky Derby. If he give me a quarter horse, I got to put him in the rodeo. You understand me? Yes. So if you give me a Cosby, I got to put him in a pulling competition. So it depends on what you are as to how we're going to approach the way you do things in the boxing ring.
If I can ask you, I know you were at the UFC fight, UFC Noche the other day. I was there. It was an incredible. I was looking for you. I heard you were hanging around. I thought it was pretty amazing. First of all, what was your take on the presentation of the fights? Right, like did that add anything for you as a fight fan? Did that presentation they did add anything for you?
Yes, it did. It was absolutely out of this world. And what was even better for me is that every fight was a 50-50 fight.
Right.
Co-main event got upset. The main event got upset. So it's like you don't come to a UFC fight knowing that everybody's going to win. That's not how it works. You come there, you get what you pay for. You get 50-50 fights. You don't pay attention to the record. You pay attention to the fighter. Because what they understand that boxing don't understand is that styles make fights.
Right.
You understand me? Not records. In boxing, we depend strictly on records to make fights. Records don't make fights. Styles make fights. And that's what the UFC understands. And they don't take their guys, like it was a couple guys on that card, and this was an incredible card. A one-of-one in a venue that's probably never going to happen again.
Yeah.
There was a guy on that card that was 12-7. And he might have won, but it was a guy on that was 12-7.
Right.
So they don't care about your record. They care about who you are and what you can bring to the table that night. And that's what boxing makes the bad mistake at. If you get 2 or 3 losses in boxing, they throw you out to the pasture. You're no good no more. Not necessarily true, because there are people that you still can beat. There are people that you can fight that's still a good fight. So match you with the people that make a great fight. The goal in boxing, it should be just like they do in the UFC. The UFC, their goal is to put on you a good card. They don't care what the records are.
Right.
And quite obviously, more the underdogs won this last fight than did the guys that were supposed to win. So
let me ask you this then, Roy. You know, Canelo Alvarez fought down the street. He drew 20,000 people, although I heard that the brokers were having a lot of trouble selling the tickets, and there might have been some comps given away there. So we'll never know. But, you know, here, Canelo is in a position that you used to be in. He's, if not the best fighter in the world, he's certainly one of the best fighters in the world. But his last 4 or 5 fights, he's been taking on guys that are huge underdogs. You know, Canelo's career has been defined, I think, largely by accepting challenges and seeking out the best. And now recently he fought Edgar Berlanga, a 20-1 underdog. He fought Munguia, who was like a 12-1 underdog. What do you think has changed in Canelo? And do you think it's just the fact that Canelo realizes he can get paid whether he fights a big challenge or not?
He can get paid no matter who he fights. So
right.
Why should he take big fights when he don't have to? He
right.
can get paid no matter who he fights. So for him, he's taking advantage of it. He earned that right, so now he's taking advantage of it.
It hurts the sport, though, don't you think? Like you just said about the UFC, but if boxing would take that same model, I mean, I think that it helps boxing as a whole, not just one night.
It does hurt the sport, but like I said, when you look at the way Floyd did things and made all that money, now Canelo said, I'm gonna do the same thing Floyd did. I'm gonna take the smarter fight and make the money. So
right.
What he want to follow, and that's cool. But it does hurt the sport in the long run because the sport before now was built on legacy.
Right.
See, like Floyd said the best. He said, I want my career to be more about currency than legacy. And that's what we're doing. That's what Canelo's doing now. So, legacy fighter, yeah, he'd already fought Benavidez, but he don't because he's fighting for currency right now. He's just collecting it and keeping it moving. And I'm not, you can't be mad at him about it. It's not the way I chose to do it, but that's how he chose. He chose.
Right.
So, people, you can't hate on him. You can't hate on Floyd. They do what they want to do. And that's cool. That's how they chose to do it. When your time comes, you do it like you want to do it. He doing like he want to do it. Floyd did like he want to do it. And if they cool with that, they cool with it.
Right. And that's where everybody's going to go. Let me ask you this. We got a heavyweight title fight this weekend. You were the heavyweight champion at one point in your career. Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois. Not really the heavyweight title fight, but it is a heavyweight title fight. And I think it's going to be a fun fight, right? Both guys are big punchers. Both guys have questions about them. How do you see that fight going? Who do you like in the fight? Do you like AJ?
I think it's a fun fight, but I think this is a fight that AJ has to win. This is career defining for AJ because if you lose to Dubois, you have to retire now. But if you beat Dubois, then if Fury can have a good showing with Usyk next time, you and Fury are always a big fight in the UK regardless. So as long as you beat Dubois, that fight still is alive. If you lose to Dubois, it's over with for you.
Going to be fun. Well, let's wrap up in this. I know you've got a lot of stuff going on today, so I don't want to keep you. Tell me a little bit about your fighters, Mandeep Jangra. You've been training for a while. Tell me a little bit about him. What can people expect when they watch him fight tomorrow on globalstreaming.com?
Anytime you give Mandeep your time, he's going to make it worth your while. He's a guy who loves to fight. He loves to get into wars. He loves the atmosphere. He loves entertaining people. So he's the type of guy that he has that win or die mentality like what I had. And I like that about him. So and at the same time, he also wants to entertain the people that are watching him. So if you pay him $9.99 to watch him, he's going to try to make sure you get your money's worth out of it. So if you tune in tomorrow night, make sure you pay close attention to him because his opponent is not a slouch either. They're both undefeated. It's a very tough fight, a very good fight for the world NBA title. Be my first world champion, first world NBA champion that I trained, and I can't wait for it because if he's successful, we win, and I think he will be. But his opponent is not an easy fighter to fight. His opponent is taller than him. He's a very strong puncher as well. He's undefeated as well. So it's a great fight, and I can't wait to see it.
And then you got undefeated Dominque Roundtree, who's 9-0 with 6 KOs from, of course, Augusta, Georgia, where the Masters is held. Is he a master in the ring? Are we going to see a masterful performance from this featherweight?
I just got my first fight working with him, so he's gonna be a master. He's on his way to be a master in the ring. It's just that it's my first fight with him, so it's gonna take us a little time, but he's getting there. He's very smart because he's undefeated for 8 fights before I met him, and that's without knowing anything. Now that I'm teaching stuff, I want to see how he adapts with it and how he can utilize it. Because if he can utilize it the way I think he can, he's gonna be a great champion.
Awesome. Well, you can watch that on globalsportstreaming.com. It is $9.99. There is, I think, 10 fights on the card. Claudia Trejos on the call. Roy Jones mostly on the call. Sometimes we'll be in the corner. Roy, always good to talk to you, my friend. I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you. I think there's 5 fights on the card, and there's also a junior middleweight kid on the card that may go down to welterweight, but his name is Keon Papillon. He's a very special individual as well, so make sure you keep your eyes on him too. And there's another kid up here from Waparo that's fighting. He's a very good young up-and-coming talent, so make sure you watch him too. All right, but thank you guys for tuning in. God bless y'all. Good to see you again, kid.
Hey, Roy, thanks.